Today we have the pleasure of speaking to May Co-Yuto, now young adult author of newly released book, Chloe and the Kaishao Boys. May Co-Yuto is a Chinese-Filipino writer born and raised in the Philippines. She has a bachelor's in psychology from Pomona College and a master's in writing for young adults and children from the New School. Welcome to Kinokuniya, May.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive right into the book, okay? How did you choose the name Chloe and the Kaishao Boys? Like, how did that come about?
I'm actually the worst at picking titles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I remember when I finished this first draft, I sent it to my friend back home, who's like an editor and a writer, and then she read the manuscript and was like, oh, this is great, but then the title was really bad. It was like something like, where are you really from? Like, something like that. So, yeah, like, it's not something like there's such a fluffy light read that doesn't give fluffier light. So, and then she was saying there was a chapter where it said something like, "Oh, I guess we can call ourselves the Kaishao Boys." Like there was a line like that, and then my friend was like, "This is actually a pretty catchy title. What do you think of this?" So, and honestly, I didn't think it would stay the same because like Kaishao is like it's a Hokkien term that not a lot of people are familiar with, and I thought maybe it'd be too foreign for like a US market especially, but yeah, I never got any pushback from the publisher for...
That brings me right into the next question. What does Kaishao mean?
So Kaishao is it's a Hokkien term, which is a Chinese language that's spoken by a lot of Chinese Filipinos in the Philippines, and basically before it was more traditionally like arranged marriages when like I read somewhere that parents would go to the matchmaker and basically find someone suitable for like their child, and then now it's way less formal. Basically, it's when your parents or your friends kind of want to set you up with someone single,
Introduce you to someone.
Yeah, but it's like no pressure to like them or marry them in that way. But then it's not like basically matchmaking, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what exactly was your inspiration behind the book?
So this started when I was in grad school, like my first semester, and then our professor gave us an assignment to write like a young adult fantasy. And this isn't fantasy at all, but then I was just in the mood to write like a fun prom chapter, and then at that point I never wrote anything that starred like Chinese Filipino characters before. But then people in my class just really enjoyed that chapter and kind of like were interested in learning more about these characters who they've never seen in like past books. So yeah, I kind of just rolled with it, and then it kind of snowballed into what this became, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you start off with something else and then you kind of like changed it to be Chloe and the Kaishao Boys? Like,
it was like, I think, so the first chapter in this book, that was like the original like 15th chapter in like the original manuscript. So it went through so many revisions. I think the heart of like Chloe's problem of like staying in Manila or going to the US was always there, and her relationship with the dad. But the boys and everything kind of like evolved from that first draft.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So how is this book different from anything else you've written so far?
Yeah, so I've never written a full novel before, honestly. This is my first one, and then, but I always loved young adult fiction, but this is the first time I tried to kind of lead into humor, and like the first one that also has like Chinese Filipino characters in it, because before I would either write like American characters in the US or Filipino characters in the Philippines, because I felt like my own ethnicity was kind of too niche. So yeah, this is the first time I really went kind of specific. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any characters that you feel a connection to? Like they're kind of like...
Honestly, they're like, I know a lot of people say like their books are kind of like their babies, which is kind of like the same feeling I have for all the characters here. I'm really attached to all of them, like Chloe especially, but then her whole family, her auntie Queenie, her dad. Yeah, they're kind of like, I kind of want to write like a spin-off for all of them because I love the characters so much, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part within the book, if you have to say?
Ooh, I think the funness I had writing was either, it all leads up to her 18th birthday at the end, which is a debut in like Filipino culture. So that was super fun because everyone had like dance numbers, song numbers, and then just like the quirkiness of their family, I just like went like 100 with that. And then I also loved like there was a school fair scene where she has a moment with one of the boys here, which is really fun to write because like it was kind of like similar to like high school and just brought me back to like my own experiences. Yeah.
So what did you think about the character Miles? Like his character, the way he was portrayed in the book. Like, do you like him more than the other guys that were portrayed in there?
Ooh, so I really love Miles. He became, I think originally he was just kind of like, he wasn't a big part of the book originally, and then I feel like in this version there was just so much more layers to him, which I really love. I have a favorite, I'm not going to spoil it, but then they all kind of like close in my head,
Okay. Darn it. If readers could take away one thing of reading your book, what would you want them to take away from that?
Honestly, like I think there's it's meant to be a love story, a light read, and then I feel like a lot of people feel like books have to teach them a lesson, or like it has to be like you have to learn from a book, but I feel like there's also value in like feeling emotions when you're reading. So if someone has like a good break from their life from just reading it, or like feels a little joy, or like there's a term called kilig in Filipino, which is basically like the butterflies in your feeling when you're reading something like swoon-worthy. So if I can do that for any reader, I feel like that's kind of like the whole point of this. But then I think for me too, for stories set in the Philippines, I feel like we never really share stories that are very light or full of joy. So I want to show this side of the Philippines too, that we have like love stories, that we have like it's possible to have happy endings when we're with characters there. So yeah.
Okay. Are there any books that you've read that helped you make the book?
Good question. I think for me, one of the first young adult books I read that was set in the Philippines is Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribay. And it's very different from this. It's like basically about this Filipino American boy who goes back to Manila and finds out that his family was involved in like the drug war in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
It's very heavy, but then I think even though it tackles like really big issues back home, it portrays Manila as like with a lot of love, which I feel like it's obvious that the author has like a lot of care for the country as well. So I kind of wanna. That made me like, oh, it's possible to set stories outside of the U.S. and also to like portray. I feel like he was catering to Filipino Americans, but also like people in the Philippines. So I guess that was a big inspiration for me, that book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will there be any other projects from you coming out?
So it hasn't been announced yet, but I'm working on something. I should be writing more these days, but I'm working on it. It's also going to be a young adult book set in Manila as well, but more of a magical twist in it than this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. Thanks for joining us today, May. We have enjoyed reading your amazing romantic comedy and diving into the imaginative world of May Co-Yuto. Now, Chloe and the Kaishao Boys, published by G.P. Putnam Sons book for young readers, an imprint of Penguin Random House, and is available now at Kinokuniya. Look for the link in the description box below.